Today, what we're going to do is answer some customer questions we've had over the years. We're often asked, what's the main use of the rope bag? Actually, there are several. The rope bag is obviously used to store the rope in the right place and to carry it easily into the forest or wherever we need to go, but it's also useful for making sure that the rope isn't tangled, because there's nothing worse when you want to work than untangling knots in a rope. To do this, the rope must first be pushed inside. We'll show you how, but because you've pushed it in, you can walk with the rope, so it comes out super easily. To push it, nothing could be simpler. A very effective little trick. Place the bag on the ground. You've got a carabiner that you've clipped to your belt. Just pass the rope through and push the rope inside the bag. That's very quick. And like that, our rope will never tangle and can come out as we need it when we need it. Another question. We hear from customers who call to say, my rope is slipping on the drum, I can't get all the friction I need when I pull. There can be different causes for this. The first is when you buy a brand new winch, you have a drum that's not worn at all and you've got a rope that's very, very clean. What we want to do is create a little dirt on the rope, so all you have to do is take the rope and rub it on a garage floor or in a bit of gravel. This will make the rope a little dirtier and add more friction. Another thing you can do is use a fine sandpaper to lightly scratch the drum. This will help friction at the start. You won't have to do this every time you use the winch, of course. Also, the important thing is to use the correct rope. Of course, Portable Winch has designed ropes with rope manufacturers to have maximum friction on the drum. Getting a portable winch rope will ensure that there will be no issues with the rope and drum. Though if you decide or you want to use a rope that you got elsewhere or that you already have, it's important that the rope is made with the correct material, meaning polyester, which can withstand a lot of heat because there's a lot of heat generated by the friction on the drum, and a rope with very, very, very little elasticity. You want a static rope, not a dynamic one. The difference between a dynamic rope and a static rope: think of a climbing rope, for example, that is made to absorb a shock in the event of a fall. We don't want that, because then we'd just be creating elasticity instead of moving the load, which means our load would bounce back, which is both dangerous and counterintuitive for pulling a load. Therefore, a double-braided polyester rope of 10 or 12 millimeters, depending on the winch model, will be the safest and most effective on the capstan winch, allowing you to get the most pulling power out of your winch. Another quick question. Some people have contacted us to say, my rope got tangled on my drum, how can I prevent this? First of all, if you have a rope that's extremely dirty because you've worked with it a lot, there's a really high amount of friction created. As a result, sometimes you barely have to pull on the rope to get the winch to pull and do its job. What we want to do from time to time is clean our rope. This can be done with a small pressure washer. This means removing some of the particles that have found their way into the rope. Another thing that's new at Portable Winch is that we've now created what we call the tension rod that comes to the entry hook. This rod supports the rope by keeping the rope close to the gearbox on the first turn of the drum. This means that because the rope is always directed inwards, it doesn't tend to jump over itself and get tangled on the drum. If you already have a portable winch, this part is now available for purchase. You can buy it, and it would be a great solution to prevent the rope from tangling on a drum. A big question is what not to use at the end of a rope. The first thing you need to know, which is unfortunately little known, is that when you tie a knot on a rope, you necessarily reduce its capacity and therefore its strength. Why is this? Because the way a rope works, each strand has to work as a team. So if all the strands work together, the rope's full strength remains. As soon as you tie a knot, so there's a twist, you can see that the outer strands are going to work harder than the inner strands. So with a standard knot, you're going to lose up to 50% of the rope's capacity. If you want to tie a knot that can do the job, that will not reduce the rope's capacity too much, we suggest the bowline knot, which is a fairly simple knot. You can find out how to tie it on our website, among other knots. There are also plenty of tutorials on bowline knots all over the web. You can even tie the double bowline knot, which will reduce the rope's capacity even less. However, Portable Winch has now created a new accessory a few years ago called the rope wiser, which replaces the concept of a splice seen at the end of a rope. A splice is the rope braided into itself to make an eyelet at the end of the rope. Often, a piece of metal or plastic is placed inside the eyelet. With a splice, you keep 100% of the rope's capacity. However, on the other hand, it takes specialists to create a splice, and it is rather expensive. The accessory we suggest is the rope wiser, which you can also buy from retailers or online. What it does is retain 100% of the rope's capacity, and it's super simple to install. You tie the knot once, and then you can use your rope without worrying about the reduction caused by a knot. For our gasoline model, we're asked what type of gasoline I should use. Obviously, these are small engines. As with your chainsaw, lawnmower or snowblower, it's important to use high-octane gasoline. Now, there are gasoline manufacturers on the market who produce ethanol-free gasolines, which are extraordinary for small engines, keeping them extremely clean and even allowing you to store your winch without having to add additives. We're talking up to 5 years without having to replace the gasoline. This type of gasoline is available from various manufacturers, and all customers who use this type of fuel see a very big difference. So we encourage you to do so. Otherwise, a high-octane gasoline, let's call it premium, will make a big difference. That will keep the engine and carburetor as clean as possible. Another possible cause of the engine stopping is when a customer uses the PCW 5000 winch. Unlike the other models, i.e. the PCW 3000, PCW 3000 Li or PCW 4000, which have 4-stroke all-position engines or of course an electric motor, so there's nothing to account for. These engines can be used and swung from side to side, whereas the PCW 5000 is fitted with an oil alert system, which means that if the winch is tilted for more than 10 seconds at more than 20 degrees, the winch thinks there isn't enough oil, so it will stop to prevent the engine from being damaged. If this is the case, it's just a matter of repositioning, taking a step back to balance the winch, or another little trick is to put the winch on a log or a box to keep it even more stable. Those are the other possible solutions to stabilize your winch. Another question or comment we sometimes get from customers is that when they use the winch, the motor suddenly shuts off and they don't understand why. There are various reasons for this, but the first is that obviously each winch model has different pulling power, but at a certain point you can reach maximum pulling capacity, whether it's 1,500 or 2,200 pounds. At some point, if you're pulling a load that's either too heavy or caught on something, such as a log that being pulled along the ground that gets caught on a stump. By the way, we invite you to use the skidding cone to prevent the log from getting caught. So what you can do, because you can have an unlimited length of rope because we supply the accessories, the best thing to do in a case like this would be to use a pulley anchored to the load, which will enable you to double the winch's pulling power. So in the case of a winch with a direct pulling power of 2,200 pounds, once you install the pulley on the load, pass the rope through the pulley and attach the end of the rope to a fixed point, you doubled the pulling power. So all of a sudden you went from 2,200 to 4,400 pounds. You can keep adding pulleys to create a greater mechanical advantage. So you can double, triple, quadruple, or even quintuple the force of your winch. It will reduce speed, but you'll greatly increase the power. Therefore, there are no heavy situations that would prevent us from using the winch. Whatever the load, if you have enough ropes and enough pulleys, you can handle many, many heavy loaded situations. Sometimes customers will tell us, at times I feel that my winch is lacking power. Here again, there are different causes and reasons. The first is whether you've pulled the throttle all the way back to get full power from the engine. The second is that when you pull the rope, you'll want to pull it at the same speed as the drum speed to get maximum friction. So if you're pulling a little slower, you won't have maximum friction, which means you won't have maximum power. When we step back and pull at the right speed, i.e. the same speed as the drum is turning, you'll get all the power you need, or all the power offered by that winch model. In some regions, we're also asked whether my winch has a spark arrestor. There are places where it's necessary to have one. If you have the PCW 3000 or the PCW 4000, the spark arrestor is built in. But if you have the PCW 5000, you'll need to get the optional spark arrestor. You can obtain one from one of our retailers or on our website. Another question is, can I use my winches in snow or rain, especially the battery-powered ones? Yes, the answer is yes. The winches are made in Quebec, Canada. We understand that this is one of the countries with the most snow. So obviously we wanted people to be able to work in rain or snow. Among other things, the battery winch is fitted with a cover to protect the battery from light rain. Of course, you can't dunk a winch of any model in a lake, but it will stand up to the elements. And some people ask, will my rope slip because it's wet? The answer is no. Because of the heat coefficient that's created, all it does when you pull is wring out the rope. So you'll see water falling off the rope, but that doesn't stop it from working properly in the rain or snow. When you're coming to the end of the season, or you won't be using the winch for a long time, it's important to store the equipment properly. If you have a battery-powered winch, nothing could be simpler. You'll remove the battery, and then what you'll probably want to do is clean it. You can remove the rope guide on any of the models, and you can also remove the drum, clean around the shaft, add a little drop of oil and reinstall that, then store it horizontally in a cool place. As far as the engines are concerned, in fact, what we invite you to do, because they're Honda engines, is to consult the Honda manual. It tells you exactly how to store it over a long period of time, but basically it's the same thing you'd do for a lawnmower or any other piece of equipment. And when you do put it away, you're encouraged to use a temperate area. If you've bought one of our cases, you can put your winch in the case with the accessories cleaned around it too. Then you wash, dry and store for the season. So if you follow the instructions, when the time comes to use the equipment again, everything should go smoothly. Well, what's the warranty on Cabestan portable winches? The winches come with a 5-year warranty on all portable winch components, meaning the gearbox. For motors, the warranty applies in the country where the winch is purchased and used. And in some countries, there's a 2-year warranty on the motor. In other countries, it may be a different warranty, but that warranty is honored by the motor manufacturer. For the winch, however, you can get an additional 1-year warranty if you register the winch online on our website on all components manufactured by Portable Winch, meaning you'll have a 6-year warranty, which is extraordinary, though it's often said that you won't need one because these are extremely reliable products. We hope you find this video informative and have great success with your winch. Thank you.